Evening, Kuya Grex.
Good evening. Kumusta kayo dyan sa HQ?
Parang kaya, maulan.
Maulan?
Oo.
Hmm.
Yan ba? Sa
Baguio? Malamig. Malamig. Although, inaasahan ko rin na parang uambon, pero hindi naman siya umambon or umulan. So, malamig lang talaga.
Kaninang umaga pa maulan eh. Tapos tigil na naman. Maulan na naman.
Okay. As long as walang nagkakasakit yan, that's more important. Oras na. It's almost 3 minutes more.
Good evening, Sylvia.
Good evening, Kuya, and everyone. Hi. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
What are you doing? You know how to play the piano? You know? Oh, love that.
Yes. Good evening, everyone po. Good evening to our Sir Randy, to our lecturers, our elders, brothers and sisters. Good evening. So, before we start po officially, let's sing together the Channel Gok anthem. Ano ba? May naririnig ka, te? Meron po ba, te? Meron na?
No sound.
Walang sound.
Wala po ba? Saan?
Walang sound.
No sound.
Yung check mo yung share audio, computer.
Yes. Sorry for that. Lang po. Lang po. Sorry po for the technical problem. Patapos na hindi.
Ako lang muna, te. Ako na mag-play.
Tapos na.
희망의 새 소식이
without further ado po, may I ask, may I invite Tita Sylvia to do the opening prayer.
Okay, let us pray, brothers and sisters. Please close your eyes and bow your heads. Good evening to you, O most loving Heavenly Parents, our victorious two parents, our parents of heaven, earth, and all humankind. Once again, Heavenly Parents, we are gathered here as one family, and we express our gratitude to you um, for this opportunity and for the very chance of seeking all of us here, Heavenly Parents, from among the multitude and handpicked us to become one of those people who could truly be able to have experience your presence in our daily lives by studying the principle of Heavenly Parents. We seek and implore then for your divine intervention, and we pray that may you can truly use our lecturers, our elders, Heavenly Parents, and mentors to be your true working mouthpiece to convey your message of true love so that we ourselves can be able to experience resonance of your heart, Heavenly Parents, through these meetings that we're having, through these 21 days, Heavenly Parents, that all of us can really be able to experience personal transformation through the words, Heavenly Parents. Though we acknowledge that we are very far from your expectation, but you have absolute faith in us, Heavenly Parents. So in return, we would like to humbly offer everything back to you, our actions, our thoughts, our plans, our visions, Heavenly Parents, our undertakings every day, our utterances can always be aligned with your will, Heavenly Parents. Only through then can we somehow become a true living testimony of the truth, Heavenly Parents, that you have taught to us through our true parents. Once again, we express to you our gratitude, and in unison, Heavenly Parents, we would like to express our gratitude also to our true parents, because without them we couldn't have had this opportunity to learn about the truth, Heavenly Parents. And we always acknowledge your unceasing love and your hard works, Heavenly Parents, of really continuously been toiling, Heavenly Parents, to really give salvation and bring us all back to our original state, Heavenly Parents, where when you have first created our first human ancestors. Thank you so much once again for everything. I would like to humbly offer and report all these things to you in my name, to the son of this family. Aju.
Yes, thank you, Tita Sylvia, for that. So without in the last meeting, section, yeah, the chapter 2, wait, chapter 2 ba ito? Tama ba? Chapter 2, Moses and Jesus in the Providential, the last part that you studied. And now, I think, yes, I know you already prepared. You are waiting for it to, yeah, for tonight. And yeah, for that, without further ado, of course, I wanted to invite, yes, our powerful lecturer for tonight. May I welcome Kuya Herwin Kalinawan. Give it a round of applause.
Yes, good evening sa lahat. Good evening, everybody. So,
Evening po.
cold evening. Very cold here. And it's raining. So I hope you are good and okay there. And so let me share my screen. Yes. Nakita ba?
Yes, Kuya.
Okay. So, good evening once again, and then welcome to our another session for our 21 days. Now is we'll be proceeding to the chapter 3, the periods in the providential history and the determination of their length. So our previous discussion is about the providence, yeah, providence to lay the foundation for restoration. And now we are here in this chapter 3. So basically, we will be discussing here about, of course, the parallelism. I mean, not the detail, but how the parallelism occurred, how it come about, and why, something like that, and those also providential numbers that is needed or in order to reach perfection. Because yeah, we are in the part two of the divine principle, which is restoration. So in line with the restoration, we need a numerical numbers. So we will talk about here what are those numbers we need before we can reach perfection. So okay, the periods in providential history and determination of their length. So I will start with section 1, parallel providential periods. So examining the course of human history, we often find cases where the various circumstances of a period in history are repeated in similar form during a later age, albeit with differences in scope and degree. So when we examine the history, the human history, we could observe that there are many repetitions. And even according sa mga historians, um, the history moves in spiral. So like pabilig a circle siya repeatedly, you know. That's according to them. But the problem is they knew that it is repeated, but they don't know why and how it was repeated, what was being repeated. So yeah, that's the problem. So even though some of us, some of the historians knew that there is history, that history repeats itself. That's the only thing that they could say. This history repeats itself. But when you ask them why, they couldn't answer. Or when you ask them how, they couldn't answer. And when we study about the divine principle, that we could realize that there is uh, there is a reason behind why the history repeats itself, and that is why here the parallel providential period, how those periods, those history being parallel and being repeated. So when a period of history repeats the event of a previous period, the two periods are called parallel providential periods. So we call this parallel providential periods. So the principal cause behind this parallel lies in God's providence of restoration through indemnity. So here in the principle of restoration, we are talking about here the God's providence of restoration through indemnity. And this is one why this is one of the reason why the history repeats, because behind the history there is a providence of God, and that is the providence of restoration. And don't forget, it is through indemnity. So we will why is it, yeah, it's called, it's indemnity, because we knew that it's because of the fall and then because of the failure of the central figures. So there is a repetition of the history. And now we will study how parallel providential periods come about. Paano to nangyari? Paano mangyayari yung parallelism? So parallel providential periods recur because of repeated dispensation to restore the foundation for the Messiah. So the history of the providence of restoration is always to build the foundation for the Messiah. This dispensation is what our central figures uh, wanted to fulfill the foundation for the Messiah. Basically, the foundation of faith and foundation of substance. Substance, yes, those are the factors. So everything that happens in the history after the fall is always the foundation for the Messiah. So accordingly, the factors which determine the formation of parallel providential periods. So these are the factors. And yeah, this we've learned this one in the first part of the part 2 of the divine principle, principle of restoration, about this foundation of faith and foundation of substance. And let us look at here, because these are the factors. Okay, first, the three conditions necessary for the foundation of faith. So may tatlong conditions na necessary. Central figure, one is a central figure, the second is object for the condition. I have to use my printer. So foundation of faith. So three conditions necessary for this foundation of faith. Central figure, second, object for condition, and the third, numerical period. Later we will discuss, we'll focus here in the numerical period, because we've already studied about the central figure and the object for the condition, the previous chapters. And now we will focus here in the next section, what are those numerical period needed in order to lay the foundation of faith. Kasi God is a God of number, and in order for us to go back to God, we also have to go through a certain numbers as well. So those are that is the foundation of faith. And foundation of substance, secondly, the indemnity condition to remove the fallen nature, which is necessary to restore the foundation of substance. So these are the factors. But when the person, okay, we will know later. So these are the factors. If along with the history of, as what I have said, the human history is the history also of of laying the foundation for the Messiah, and for such very long time, because the Messiah was not able to come because of the failure of the central figures, and these are the factors that they are doing during their mission. They are laying foundation of faith and foundation of substance. So, but when they fail, that's the time that person, that the providence of that person will stop, but the mission of that person will be passed through to the next generation, passed through to the next central figure, and that next central figure will going to inherit the mission that was not fulfilled by the first central figure. So they are doing the same mission with different person, and that's how the providence became parallel. So, but if that person again will fail, and then it will be inherited again for the next generation. So it keeps repeating and repeating if that person fails. So that is why responsibility, our responsibility, the central figure responsibility is very important, so that the history will not be repeated. So we should be able to do, we should be able to lay an absolute faith where we can offer an object for the condition and the necessary numbers that we need, and also the foundation of substance by removing our fallen nature. We have to do this. These are only two, but this is very difficult, because if we fail this one, then the history repeats, and that's how parallel will come about. Why is it providential? because this is a history behind God. This is also the history of God, his story, the story of God and human beings. So now, so that is how the parallel providential periods come about. But now let's proceed to section 2. The number of generations or years in the periods of the age of the providence to lay the foundation for restoration. So let's start with why the providence of restoration is prolonged. So, okay, we knew from the previous lecture, earlier, sinabi ko, as what I have said, because of the failure of the central figure. But how? We know central figure failed. But let's see. Why the providence of restoration is prolonged? Bakit nga ba? So according to the principle of predestination, when we studied about the chapter 6, since God absolutely predestined his will, he surely will realize it one day. So we've learned this from the predestination, chapter predestination, that the will of God is truly absolute. He will always predestine his will absolutely. He will do it without fail. However, the fulfillment of this will is conditional. So whether God's will is fulfilled through any particular individual is conditional upon the fulfillment of his portion of responsibility, which is in addition to God's portion of responsibility. So even though God's will is absolute, there's no question about that, because God would really establish his kingdom here on earth, but it takes time. It depends upon. So the will of God, the fulfillment of his will is always matters with human portion of responsibility and God's responsibility. And now, when we observe the history, it is always human's responsibility is the problem. God already give us everything, but the limitation is we human beings, because we always fail. So accordingly, when the will is not fulfilled because the responsible person fails, God will choose another person in a different era to take his place. God will continue his work until its complete fulfillment, prolonging the providence in the process. So if the person fails, that central figure fails, God will choose another person. Yeah. I've realized actually from this one, it's very crucial actually if we fail our responsibility. I don't know if God will forgive us. I think yeah, God will forgive us, but God will choose another person responsible than you. That's the point. God will forgive you, but God will not give you that responsibility because you already failed. God will choose another person who is responsible for that mission, because God is always wanted his will to accomplish. Kasi absolute nga yung will niya, di ba? So we are very sorry about this one, but this is really true. That is why doing our responsibility, it's not like pabanjing-banjing lang. It's really serious actually. Especially us, kasi we are the ones who knew, we are the central figure actually in our tribe, in our then we are going to take all the failed mission from our previous ancestors, from our ancestors, I mean. Yeah. So very crucial. Yeah. Then so fulfilling our responsibility is very important, or else God will find another person who will change you. And then although you are still in the movement, doing your responsibility, but God will really choose a more responsible person to fulfill his will. Okay. So if the person fails, the conclusion from here is if the person fails, the providence will prolong. The restoration will prolong. Why it will prolong? Because if that the person A, for example, person A will fail, the person B will fulfill the mission of person A. So he will do double responsibility. The responsibility of a person B is his own responsibility, and after fulfilling his responsibility and became worthy in front of God, he will do another responsibility of the person A. So it will prolong actually. He will not do um, just one, but double. It's because his responsibility and the other's responsibility. Okay. So how the providence, so that is why the providence of restoration is prolonged, because the person, central figure, fails. And then how the providence of restoration is prolonged. So this is like, yeah, we will talk about here the process. So according to the principle of creation, God is being of the number 3. All things created in his likeness manifest themselves through a 3-stage process with respect to their mode of existence, movement, and growth. So according to the principle of creation, God is being a number of 3. We can read this one part 1, principle of creation, section 5. Yeah, let's try to read. God is again God of number 3. Why? Because God is absolute one, and then with these dual characteristics, original internal nature and original external form. So that's equivalent to 3. So all things created also in the manner of 3 stages. Kasi if we recall the principle of creation, everything created in 3 stages, the creation. So therefore, whenever the providence of restoration is prolonged, it may extend to as many as 3 stages. Like for example, um, uh, the since we are talking about this the restoration, Adam, the time of Adam, first Adam, the second Adam is Jesus Christ, and the third Adam is the second coming. So on the third time, God will surely only at the third time the providence will accomplish the third time. So in the third Adam, God will surely establish the kingdom of heaven here on earth through the Messiah. So hanggang 3 lang talaga siya. Until 3, that's already the fulfillment of God's will here on earth will be established, will be fulfilled. So another example, during the foundation, laying the foundation of faith and substance, it was completed under the family of Abraham. So Adam, Noah, and then Abraham. So under the family of Abraham, it was already completed, the foundation of faith and foundation of substance. But we could not be able to send, God could not be able to send the Messiah. It's because it's still in the family level. So if they're going to send the Messiah, God will going to send the Messiah. So yeah, God, the Messiah will die because the environment already national. The Satan's providence is already national. So God is still in family. So anyway, so in the third attempt, God will surely fulfill his will. So this is how the providence of restoration prolong. At the third attempt, God will surely fulfill. So there's no, so we can therefore say actually that during the time of true parents is already a completed testament. were already established already, everything established already by true parents. True parents already perfected because this is the principle of God. No more extension. Actually, no more extension. God will surely, and under true parents' providence. So the prolongation up until 3 stages. The central figure responsible, so the vertical indemnity condition and horizontal restoration through indemnity. So the central figure responsible for the providence of restoration must fulfill in short time all the indemnity conditions, which is predecessors A, B, C. So vertical indemnity conditions and horizontal restoration through indemnity. So in the diagram, so this is the central figure, and then since this is the vertical, this center figure will inherit all the mission of this A, B, and C vertically. So to indemnify this failed mission, the central figure will going to restore this horizontally in one. Do you remember when during the time of Abraham offered the dove, ram, and a heifer? So Abraham restoring the time of Adam, the time of Noah, and his time. So he restores this vertical conditions in one setting through horizontal restoration by offering those three symbols. So just one person will going, ito yung ibig sabihin nito. This is what it means in this lecture. The vertical indemnity conditions and horizontal restoration to indemnity. So the central figure will horizontally restore through indemnity all those failures of this ABC. So I hope you get my point. So the condition which accumulate in the course of providential history are called vertical indemnity conditions. So these are the vertical indemnity conditions. The task of the central figure to fulfill all these conditions in a short time, yes, called horizontal restoration through indemnity. So ito yung horizontal restoration through indemnity. Vertical, yeah, sa ano pa lang, sa arrow pa lang. Vertical and horizontal. So to restore this, the central figure will do the restoration horizontally. So what I have said yung ginawa ni Abraham. Nag-offer lang siya ng animals, then he already restored this one, the vertical indemnity condition. But the problem is Abraham failed, right? So yeah, in this sense, we can understand that each person, each central figure, A, B, and C, in the providence of restoration stands not only for himself as an individual, but represents all the forefathers, prophets, sages who had the same mission in the past. He bears within him the fruits of their labors in the history. So this central figure will inherit all the fruits that all the forefathers, all those ancestors that had accomplished. And the failure also, this central figure will indemnify. So this is what it means, the vertical indemnity condition and horizontal restoration to indemnity. So in the exposition of the divine principle, page 293, vertical indemnity conditions. For example, Abraham had to restore horizontally through indemnity all the vertical indemnity conditions which Adam's family and Noah's family before him had tried to fulfill. So Abraham restored that one horizontally. In offering the three sacrifices at one time on the same altar, Abraham was to restore horizontally through indemnity the vertical indemnity conditions accumulated during the three dispensations of the prolonged providence. The three offerings represented all the conditions which Adam Noah could not fulfill, as well as those which Abraham had to fulfill as the new central figure. So yun yung sinabi ko kanina. So it was restored by Abraham through the horizontal offering. Okay. Horizontal restoration through indemnity carried out vertically. Okay, this is the continuation. Since the work of restoration in Abraham's family, was the third attempt in the providence to restore the family foundation for the Messiah, the principle required that his family accomplish God's will without faith. So God's will, his family accomplished God's will without fail. Why? Because it is on the third attempt. And yung sinabi ko kanina, what I have said earlier, that the creation happens in the three stages. So the restoration will surely be accomplished on the third stages also, in the third attempt. So Abraham's family will surely fulfill the will of God without fail. Hence, when Abraham failed in the symbolic offering, so when Abraham failed the symbolic offering, he completed it vertically through the generation of Isaac and Jacob, and God could still credit him with having fulfilled it in his own generation. So we remember that Abraham failed, right? And then what happens is, and do you still remember why God still why God allows Abraham to continue the mission? I mean, the family of Abraham to continue the mission. Because if we go back from Adam, so just try to recall so that we can understand this one. So if we go back to the time of Adam and Eve, Satan also invaded Cain and Abel. So the two sons, so which means God could also like prolong in the family of Abraham through the sons of Abraham, which is Isaac, and the son of Isaac, which is Jacob. So pwedeng kukunin ni God yun, because Satan invaded the sons of Adam. So God could also get back the sons of Abraham, which is Isaac and Jacob. So that is why. So from here, all the missions of Isaac and Jacob is under the family of Abraham. They're in one lineage naman. So under Abraham, even though Abraham failed, right? Even though Abraham failed because of his offering, God's providence can still work through his sons. And since Jacob fulfilled and established the foundation of faith and substance, thereby foundation for the Messiah, so the completed mission of Jacob will be inherited under Abraham's family. So do you understand what my point? So they are in one. Whatever happens here, this one belongs to Abraham's family because they are in one again. So 3 generations, but this carried out horizontally through. So the mission vertically will be restored horizontally. So this type of restoration is called horizontal restoration through indemnity carried out vertically. This is in reverse from the previous this one. the vertical. So whatever here, Abraham will inherit because they are under Abraham's family. So we can therefore conclude that Abraham is in the third attempt. So God fulfilled this mission. God fulfilled his will through Abraham's family. Okay. That is the horizontal restoration through indemnity carried out vertically. Now, what are the numerical indemnity periods for restoring the foundation of faith? So in restoring the foundation of faith we have this central figure and object for the condition, right? So we will, as what I have said, we will be talking here also the numerical period, the third, yung pangatlong kinakailangan, the numerical indemnity periods. So because, as what I have said earlier, all the numbers, after the fall, all the numbers defiled by Satan, invaded by Satan. And in the providence of restoration, God will take back all those providential numbers. So if God will take back all those providential numbers, there is a certain numbers that we need in order to reach the perfect embodiment, the perfection. There is a certain number that we need.
Si Miggy, nagbutang kog hanger dato sa gawas. Nagbutang kog hanger sa gawas.
Right. So in order for us to be restored, we have to follow these certain numbers so that we can go back to God. So we have to follow, again, a certain principle of restoration on these numerical indemnity periods, through these numerical indemnity periods, in order for us to go back to God. So we will study here. And this is about laying the foundation of faith, underlaying the foundation of faith. When we do our faith, it is necessary that we have to do fasting 3 days, like that, not just any numbers, but there's a certain number that we need. So a central figure has to fulfill one or more numerical indemnity periods in order to restore the foundation of faith. So not just one, but more. One or more numerical indemnity periods. The first human ancestors were to lay the foundation of faith. Were to lay the foundation of faith based on significant numbers, including 12, 4, 21, and 40, which represent the numerical growing period. When they then accomplish the purpose of creation, they would have become the perfect embodiments of the quality of these numbers. So if you still remember in the principle of creation, in part 1 ng divine principle, that Adam and Eve, during their immaturity, Adam and Eve will going to build a foundation of faith and foundation of substance. So that's before the fall. So it is not indemnity. Adam and Eve will do a certain condition, but not indemnity condition. It's because indemnity condition happens only after the fall. So before the fall, we will talk about before the fall first. Before the fall, Adam and Eve, I hope you already, you've learned this one in the part 1, but it is very important. So Adam and Eve will still do a condition, but it is not indemnity. It is a condition, foundation of faith and foundation of substance. So, so here, and now, during their period, growing period, let's look at here in the diagram. Here, this is before the fall. Ito yung gagawin nila Adam and Eve. So in order for Adam to reach at the top, the perfection level, Adam has to go through this foundation of faith. And in laying the foundation, in doing the foundation of faith, building the foundation of faith, or I mean, making the foundation of faith, Adam has to pass through these numbers. This is really needed. This is not just after the fall, but this is also before the fall. This is not indemnity, but this is a condition for them to to uh, to to perfect themselves. Before they could reach to their condition in order for them to reach perfection. So these are numbers 12, 4, 21, and 40. And if Adam fulfill these numbers will become perfect embodiment. If Adam failed, of course, when they failed, it is not complete. This is not the perfect embodiment, but this is defiled. This was defiled by Satan. But ito talaga yung dapat gawin nila. They should lay the foundation of faith. And we will know later how this condition will be done after the fall. So ito yung mga kailangan natin. Even us, we need these numbers before we can reach perfection. Before we can go back to God. We need a numerical growing period. So here, numerical growing period. But after the fall, let's see. So ito yung nangyari. This is what happened after the fall. Yet due to their fall, all these numbers were claimed by Satan. Right? It was claimed by Satan. Therefore, the central figures in providential history must fulfill numerical periods of indemnity to restore the numbers 12, 4, 21, and 40. So, when we look at the diagram, please look at the diagram. This is very interesting actually. Me myself when I studied this one. So, ito yung after the fall. Ito yung gagawin natin. This is what we should do. This is what Adam and Eve supposed to do. But when they fell, it became the numerical growing period becomes numerical indemnity period. So to restore these numbers, we have to lay a foundation of faith and foundation of substance. And within foundation of faith, we have to fulfill the numbers as well. So that we can give it back to God. And when we look at the diagram here, this bracket, because Adam and Eve fell below the formation stage. Here. They fell here, not here, right? But here. Even below the formation stage. So the foundation of faith and substance will be done here in the growing period, until the growing period. We have to fulfill the foundation of faith, and we have to follow those providential numbers, the 12, 4, and 21. We have to fulfill the foundation of faith and substance within the below individual below formation and growth. So from here, and then dito na at this point, at the top of the growth stage, we are going to receive the Messiah. So here, this is the time that we fallen human beings will going to offer these numbers, this foundation of faith, this foundation of substance through the Messiah. So that, do you remember yung when Noah laid the foundation of faith, but foundation of substance of Ham and Shem already united. So, and Ham should going to unite with his Father, in order that this unity between Ham and Shem will be offered to God. Ham should connect to Noah. So the same here. We fallen human beings, we should connect ourselves when restoring ourselves and doing this foundation of faith and substance. We should connect ourselves with the Messiah, and together with the Messiah, we can be able to do the completion together with the Messiah, following the Messiah, and reach perfection. So that's based on numerical numbers, based on the restoration. This is before the fall, and this is after the fall, right? Very interesting. So this is what we need for as fallen human beings. So that is the numerical indemnity periods for restoring the foundation of faith, and we will know what are the significance of this number. Ito, ano yung mga significance ito? Pag-aralan natin. Kasi hindi lang, it is not just happen just boom like that. And then God will, there is a significance of this one. So here, significance of the numbers 12, 4, 21, and 40. Okay. So, no words below. So the diagram, let's look at the diagram. No entity, so here, no entity can exist or thrive without first forming the four-position foundation. So, paano ma-reach yung 12? So, lahat ng entity, kailangan merong four-position foundation para mag-exist and multiply. Kasi yung four-position foundation, nga, God and subject and object, and then the union. So, lahat ng bagay, we should have this four-position foundation. And then, each position in the four-position foundation, so apat yan, each position is to pass through the three stages of the growing period. The formation stage, the growth stage, and the completion stage. So, apat yun, di ba? So, 4 times 3. Every person have to go through the 3 stages. So, that's equivalent to 12. So, 12, so it will become the imperfect embodiment of 12. Now, actually, these numbers, these are the numbers that we need for perfection. So, 12, 4, 21, and 40. So, number 4. So, this is, of course, this is the, So number 4, Adam and Eve were to pass through the 3 stages of the growing period and enter the realm of God's direct dominion, which is the 4th stage. Ito. So, dadaan sila ng formation stage, growth stage, and completion stage. So, 1, 2, 3. And at the top of that is perfection level, the 4th stage. So, this is the perfect embodiment of 4. But when we, kung babalikan natin, kung if we look deep more about these numbers, how it came about, just brief about numbers. So God is 1, and then number 2, the dual characteristics. So the Trinity also, the number 3 exists because of the Trinity. So God, his original internal nature and original external form. So that's how the number 3 produced. And then number 2, yeah, dual characteristics. 1 is God, absolute. And 4 is the four-position foundation, right? The God is the subject, and then subject God is the center, subject and object, and then the union. So that's the four-position foundation. So we are talking about here actually the restoration of these numbers. paano na-restore yung numbers. So through this one, pass through the drawing 3 stages. So and then yeah, those numbers. So that is the 4th stage. The 4th stage, number 4, became perfect embodiment. And then 21. Now, before we will proceed to what is yung perfect embodiment of 21, let us first, paano nangyari ang 7? How does the 7 occur? So 7 is 3, number 3 also is the number of heaven, and number 4 is the number of earth. 4 position foundation. So sabi ni Father, it also symbolizes north, east, south, and west. So it symbolizes earth. So heaven plus earth, 3 plus 4 is 7. So that is how the 7 forms. So if every the formation stage have to go through with 7 as well. Then growth stage 7, and then completion stage 7. So 3 times 7 is equals to 21. Okay. This one. So the perfect embodiment of 21 should we have this one. And then how about 40? So each of God's creation passes through the 9 levels of the growing period. It then fulfills its purpose of creation when it becomes one with God in the realm of His direct dominion, which constitute the 10th level. So here, formation stage. The formation stage, within the formation stage, there is also 3 stages. So formation, growth, and completion. And then on top of that, the beginning of the formation stage on the growth stage. So every level, meron din siyang 3 stages. So equivalent niyan, 9. And 9 at the top of that is 10. So the number 10 is also perfection and also symbolizes unity. It is unity towards God. If you reach this level, you are united with God already. So the perfect embodiment of this 40 is when when each of the 4 position, so 4 position foundation, apat yun, di ba? 4. So each of them we're going to reach this 10th level, this completion stage, formation, growth, and completion. So 10. So 10 times 4 is 40. So that is how it will. That is the significance of the number 12, 4, and 21. 12, 4, 21, and 40. Right. So yeah, you learn something? I hope so.
Opo.
All right. So this is one of the this is what really inspires me actually in this lecture. Although we all knew already, kasi I just realized that we need also 4 actually in order for us to reach. We need numbers actually in order for us to before the fall, even before the fall, right here. So yeah, it made me realize, and I hope so. You've learned also. So this is not just happened after the fall, but it is also necessary before the fall. So these numbers. Ang nangyari lang, it becomes indemnity after the fall. And yeah, it's a long process already after the fall. So yeah. So vertical and indemnity, merge generations, and that's how the parallelism occurred. So any question? Do you understand? Actually, in 10 hours, 12 hours, this is very long actually. But this is 3 hours, so I just explain it briefly because we have briefly kasi yeah, we have limited time. I wanted to actually do the like 40 days or our content is only 7 days. Yeah, the content of this 21 days meetings is only 7 days, and I wanted to give it during 40 days content, wherein you can explain every detail. But here I have to explain to you just brief, and I hope you understood. Yeah. All right. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much to our lecturer. Let's give a big hand to our lecturer for tonight. Yes, as we study about the chapter 3, the period in providential history and the determination of their length. Yeah, I hope all of us are learning the significance of the number. Yeah, I know this is one of the, yeah, for me also, ito yung parang pinaka medyo, pero I hope every one of us can really learn a lot. So, I think we can go now. Reflection na po ba, kuya? Hindi. Nakamute ka, kuya.
So you can we have
Or
much
any,
time, so you can give either
yeah,
reflection
first
or question.
question.
I yung question. Ate Sylvia, do you have the answer about the 120 days of Noah?
Yeah, kuya. I think,
Can
yeah.
you share with us?
Um, guess lang yun at the time because, I think you had explained it that, because during Noah's time was Noah has to recreate because it was the last days, right? So he is owed to lay the foundation of faith and substance in recreating the cosmos since it was lost. So, and then just like meron din doon si Ate Rilin na sinabi na because it was after God chosen Noah as his generation. So it has to be like that 12, the number 12 that has to be restored by fulfilling the purposes foundation when the three object partners the three object purpose has been realized that makes it 12, and then it is has to be restored during 10 generations that makes it 120 then. Kaya yun yung understanding ko sa doon sa question ko, why 120? Yun yung naintindihan ko. And then, pwede na mag-reflection, kuya? Okay na lang ba
Sure,
yun?
sure. Yeah.
Grabe talaga yung, while you were discussing, actually, uh, it is really very, I cannot really imagine how devastating God's heart was when when our first human ancestors failed up to the present time. Yeah, because, everything has been escalated multiple times. And the saddest thing that is present, that the saddest thing is, despite the fact that all central figures had overcame, say for example, Noah had somehow overcame the foundation of faith that was necessary during the time of Cain and Abel, and the foundation of substance by having fulfilled, fully, accomplished the ark. But because of the disunity of Ham to Noah, it was again repeated, and the providence was prolonged. And then finally comes Abraham, who had been like declared the father of faith, but still, uh, the failure of Cain and Abel has been carried out up to the moment. We can imagine, I cannot explain in full length of a paragraph maybe how how God's heart has been broken. I mean, has been wrecked totally, and even to the fact that our children came already. Still, that problem of Cain and Abel is very, very, very real and tangible, existent. So yeah, it's really, we really have to do overtime. I mean, yeah, it's not just overtime by word, but really have to work hard to the utmost. I hope we can all have that kind of resonance. I mean, in heart to not not because I am having that. I mean, because I personally would admit that I couldn't have done it myself alone. So everyone is equally important. On how are we going to indemnify this? Because yeah, our true parents, and there are already a lot of options for this. I mean, our true parents' existence could no longer be denied to be the final and the commencement of all the Chandra Yorsad has to really realize this. But the end point will be us because true parents already had told to us in detail what are I mean the very like the better steps to do and how are we going to restore all those that was in the providence of restoration that we can how much God really had toiled so much to just to find us actually I should say for us to be able to contribute. Wait a minute. In this providence of restoration. So yeah, it is really very devastating in God's and in, of course through parents um part that despite all their effort that we still have the difficulty to understand it fully. So yeah, dili pwede siya hilakan. It has to be done really. And it's really very urgent. I don't know how can we be able to fully grasp this one. But I wish that yeah, we can really in our small way can really enliven this and practice this or apply this in our daily lives. Yeah, but again, I would reiterate, admittedly, I couldn't have done this all by myself. So all brothers and sisters, husband and wives alike, children and parents, and brothers and sisters are equally important. And we cannot just live like anyone, like not knowing it. Because yeah, the foundation of Satan, despite the victories of our true parents, is continuously been growing still. Yeah. And there we cannot find another central figure to do that for us anymore. It is already our personal responsibility that is very much required to have this realized. Yeah, so yeah, it's really very challenging. It's really very, yeah. I hope now all of us being called can really respond right, can really get or can really manifest the right attitude, I should say. I know I'm not in the position to say this, but I am just hoping, yeah, that we can really do that during our lifetime because just like what has been said repeatedly, that heavenly parents can always find another person our stead, but that person who's going to do things or the conditions and the foundation of faith and substance that we are all to do when if we fail God will always find another person. It's just that the other person is going to do that for our own behalf will do over double time instead of us doing. That's why I hope we can afford na talaga to we cannot afford na talaga to fail God this time. I hope. So this one is really very ano this to me this what's this this topic is really a lot moving when we have to understand the required numbers that is that we are all owed to do and to think that this um found this numbers 12 4 21 and 40 are the only thing necessary during the time of Adam and Eve for them to reach perfection. It's just a foundation of faith.
now we have to actually na-compress na siya into stages in the formation and the growth stage, and it become an indemnity. So hindi talaga siya madali. Hindi talaga siya madali. Oh. So yeah, I am sorry. So actually also very grateful to this very time and for our mentors, yeah, Kuya Herwin, and of course Kuya Randy, Dr. Randy, Ate Relina, and the rest of the who had toiled hard, had been instrumental to somehow illuminate many people's minds na kasi ang ating spirituality has over time has been also been na elevate na din, according to the time, yeah, because of both the the truth of spirit, the because of the truth of that could address our ignorance in both internal and external through religion and science. So yeah, this new truth indeed is the ultimate truth, and because it could really unite, it could really address the separate undertaking of religion and science that has been trying to eradicate our ignorance from the beginning. So I think that's all. Thank you, Kuya.
Thank you so
Thank you, Kuya
much.
Hervin.
Thank you po, Tita Sylvia, for that heartwarming reflection. Yeah, as we could see in our topic for today, if we could connect also in the, I think it's mostly in the how lay the foundation in the, especially within the family of Moses, Noah, and Abraham. So as this time is our time, how we could also lay a foundation within ourselves to take the responsibility para hindi na ma-prolong yung this kind of the prolongation of the providence of restoration as of now, as heavenly parents and true parents giving us a chance to do our portion of responsibility this time. So yes, sino po ang yes, so will be the next one who will give the reflection po. Anyone?
Jail daw.
Ate?
Jail.
Jen? Yes,
Nag-raise
let's
ng
go.
hand.
Okay, let's welcome Ate
Jail.
Jen. Yes.
Okay po. Actually, thank you and Kuya for I call it Henry for the presentation. It was well presented and I go. Actually, I was really touched by this message and I had a question, but you answered my question because my question was, what can we do to not prolong the providence of restoration? But you said, and as human portion of responsibility, we have our responsibility that will help us to not prolong this whole providence or restoration. Because as I say, as you explain, as we're going through the divine principle, like history repeating itself. Like in Noah's family, the restoration of the providence of restoration was not completed. In Adam's family was not completed. It go down to Noah's family, wasn't completed, and also Abraham, he failed, and also, and you said that I think he restored it through his generation by sacrificing his son Isaac. So in our timeline, my question is, what can we do to not prolong this providence of restoration? Because that we are in a position of these days during that time, that's how we live. We are living in a world. There are a lot of pollution, there are a lot of things going on in the world. Human mistakes every day, the life you live, the mistakes you make, the way you live for people around your community, around just a realistic thing, put ourselves in our time. Like, I can be wondering, what can we do to not prolong God's providence of restoration? Because as I say, every time we are repeating history, every time history repeating itself, we are going back to the same thing. So, of course, we have our own responsibility, but what we are still repeating, like what's ready? I don't really understand. For anyways, that's my reflection. Thank you for
Yes, thank you, Kuya. I thank you, Ate Jane. Yeah, and I think Kuya Herwin, do you have any answer for that?
All right.
Yeah.
So why is it repeated? Because the failure of the previous central figure. So we have to do whatever the central figure before the previous central figure had failed. We have to do it in our time. But if, for example, first central figure and I'm the second, but I will do my responsibility first in order for me to become qualified as the central figure in front of God. And if I finish my mission, if I'm qualified in front of God, I have to do the mission of the previous central figure. So it is prolonged. Now, if me myself, if I cannot do it my own responsibility, then it will pass through the third central figure. So the third central figure will inherit three: his responsibility, the first central figure, and the second central figure. So it is very important. So this third central figure, he needs to finish all the three. If not, it will prolong. It will become four. So not just my own responsibility, but I have to do the responsibility of the previous one, previous central figure. That is how the history prolonged. Because if I am going to do my own responsibility, like for example, if the central figure failed, first central figure, I am the second. So if I am only to do my responsibility, then I already finished my responsibility. So already finished, but it is not done because according to the principle of restoration, right? It is the this principle. So in restoring, God cannot allow a backup fallen nature of those people. They should be removed. All the fallen nature before and now should be removed. So that's why the foundation of substance is to remove the fallen nature. Foundation of faith and substance to remove the fallen nature, so that no a single sin will be washed out in the providence of God. So even just a single sin, we have to restore that one. So we cannot actually leave those unfulfilled mission. So now when I realized that one actually, then how many times, how many years already had passed? Now, how about true parents? How much heavy they are doing that responsibility? How many central figures already? Many central figures from the time of Adam. Or let's say already from the Jacob already laid the foundation of faith and substance. So let's say from there and then going to the second coming. It's so much thousands of years already. How much heavy their true parents doing that responsibility actually. And to be honest, that is the responsibility. The restoration is that the
Alalayan at masamahan ka sa huli. Ginawa.
my sound, sorry, my sound check. Okay. So the responsibility, yeah, that's the responsibility of the Christian. It is to receive the Messiah, and the Messiah will going to be received, and he will become the Lord of glory. But it was not happen because some of the failure. So again, we failed. We cannot skip those sin. But of course, we have this vertical and horizontal, but still we have to pay all those unfinished mission. Yeah, it's really prolonged like that. But in the third attempt, I'm always happy, and it is very assurance that in the third attempt, God will fulfill his responsibility. Will fulfill his will on earth. So the time of true parents is the third attempt, the third Adam. So under true parents already built the will of God. But we have also our personal responsibility. Actually, if you fail, I mean, let's say if I fail, my providence within my family will prolong. But the national, the worldwide, the cosmic providence will continue. So you will leave behind because in your family, it will be prolonged. So the next, maybe your brother, maybe your sons or daughter will inherit your mission. That's my point. We have our personal portion of responsibility. It's very hard about the worldwide. So I know, yeah, the parents really sacrifice so much. Yeah, I hope Jelly, I answered your question.
Yes, for thank you for.
Yes, thank you for that, Kuya Herwin. I think, meron po tayo, may question tayo dito, kaya tinihin na to. Yeah, we have questions here from Ate Regina. It says here, why do we need to study the parallels of the providential history? I think it's also the second question. I think it's just now Ate Jail already asked. Yeah, so
Why do we need
Tinulat
to
ko lang
study?
yung question ni Jill. Tinype ko lang yung question ni Jill kanina. Yung question ko is niya, why do we need to study the providential history? I want to hear answers from the participants and maybe as a reflection or ganun siya. Or answering, reflect siya or mag-answer. Pwede niya maging reflection na lang siya.
You know the really
this is just po Ate Regina kung sino.
Okay. Hanap pa ako.
Si Ara nagtataas ng kamay din.
Si Miss Ara. Okay.
Welcome
Miss
po,
Ara.
Ate Ara.
Good evening.
Natin
Yeah, I will try to answer. Hopefully my connection is okay. Though at the start of the lecture, I have a very bad connection. It's on and off, so I'll just try to review through the YouTube our lecture for tonight. But in general, the lesson that I've learned on this week's topic, it reminded us of why do we need to study all this. It reminded us of the significance of our portion of responsibility. If we look back at Moses and from Noah to Jesus' course, the failure to establish the foundation of Messiah ultimately is because of the failure of individuals' completion of portion of responsibility. So we can, in our time, we can apply that one by individually trying to complete our portion of responsibility as well. One is, we are also reminded through the lecture, we are reminded that obedience to God is very important. What do you call this? Hang on. Obey God in all His commandments. We can apply that as a participant through this understanding of the lecture, the divine principle. We can appreciate God's purpose of creation and we need also to pursue to be on how we can artistically connect to Heavenly Father, and also an additional lesson or notes reminder that I taken is to have an enduring heart, or for my understanding is we have to have a firm faith. We can apply that in our present time, where because of this pandemic we're surrounded by a lot of uncertainties, and temptation is all around us. So we just try our we should have a full determination. We should try our best to try to complete our portion of responsibility, again by trying to receive true parents' blessing on this. That's all that I can share for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ate Ara Rose, for that reflection. Yes, and yeah, we proceed. Sino pa po? Who will be the next? For the next one, who will give the reflection? Kuya Herwin. You can choose na lang, Kuya Herwin.
About Ariel.
Yeah.
Yes, let's welcome Ate Ariel.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes po.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, I have a bad connection as well. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
Yes po, Ate, we can hear you.
Yeah. So, in this week's lecture was that Sarah said we need to strengthen our faith in God, like in our Father, in our Heavenly Father, so that we'll be
No connection.
The connection.
Ariel, are you there? Yes, you're there. Wala.
Wala na. I think the connection is not
Takot
really
na.
good. So, so I think proceed po to the other one. Sir Randy, you can volunteer someone. Who will be
Sino
the
pa ba
next?
dito yung hindi masyadong narinig na si
Jonathan.
Joseph.
Hi.
Yes.
Joseph.
Let's
Kuya Joseph.
welcome Kuya Joseph.
Okay ba connection ni Jonathan? Parang mahina din
Good
ang
evening.
connection nila sa Kelsey.
Na-miss ko po kanina yung yung lecture kasi may tumawag po. Sorry po. Dating ko po reflection na.
How about si Jonathan? Kasi parang may signal.
Talagang we are being challenged by internet connection, no?
Habang hinihintay natin,
Yes.
pwede ba? Si Miss, sino nga ba yung nakita ko kanina nawala bigla? Nawala. Si Miss Beliano.
While waiting,
Hello po, good evening.
Alright.
Medyo mahina yung internet. Naririnig niyo po ako?
Yes.
Apo.
Ano na lang po. I guess reflection. Where do I start? Siguro I'll start off with saying given this lecture, it teaches us na maintindihan yung step by step of an explanation so that in a simple term maintindihan or we would understand, sorry Jill, we would understand everything that is being taught by the divine principle. My reflection is that it coincides with your faith, because you cannot just have faith and then not do anything, right? You will not follow what is being taught here in the divine principle. And you cannot just blindly follow also everything that is taught here without having faith. So these two, I think, goes hand in hand for us. If you lack one of the other, then maybe let's say if you lack the faith, then you should start praying, not just by your mind, but with your heart, and find that inner how do you say inner voice that you would actually start saying, I'm starting to find my faith little by little because it's getting stronger, or it's not something that I would do now and forget about it later. It will be constant. And then for the part where you don't understand, this is where the divine principle comes. It teaches you in simple terms, in like the layman's term, and then you have people, the lecturers that are like willing to enlighten you more. So for me, I'm working on both of this. I'm here because need to learn, like my thirst for understanding and learning, because I am such a person that I'd rather listen than talk. So I'm not, unless otherwise it's in a subject that I really am sort of like I understand or much of an expert. Otherwise, I'd rather listen, and I appreciate the teaching here. I think everybody's tired. I'm also coming from work late, so excuse me if I like I am zoomed out. I am in a meeting like all day, so most of the time I'm not. You cannot see me also. I'm so please bear with me on that. But I'm here. I'm listening to everyone and taking notes. So that's my sharing for today. Thank you.
Thank you po, Ate Bel Arellano, for that reflection, and
Thank
thank
you,
you for
Miss
your
Bell.
thank you po for your time also.
Thank
And
you.
yes, for
Good
the
evening to
next
everyone.
evening po.
Very
And
well said po.
the next reflections will be
Si Kuya Grex.
welcome, Kuya Greg.
Hindi ko na
Ah,
nagsasalita lagi si Kuya.
alright.
Lagi nami-miss.
Naimbag nga rabi iyo kada kayo amin. And maayong gabi sa inyong tanan. Good evening to everyone.
Evening.
Good evening kayo.
Yeah, I can also say this is a reflection, but this is also a personal reflection. Wherein, first, I would like to really thank God and true parents. Secondly, about this lecture in terms of parallelism. And while Sir Irwin is giving actually a lecture, especially in terms of the word why history repeats itself, and also now the numbers that came in. Well, I do have a lot to say, but these are the like main points that I would like to share. Uh, I'm actually thinking deep in terms of why am I here? Um, especially knowing the divine principle. Um, I'm not really per se a religious person, but I am faithful to what my family has introduced me in terms of Catholic faith. So I'm guessing that because of that foundation, um, somebody, my classmate, God uses for me. God uses for me to be introduced to the unification movement. At first, I mentioned that it is not that easy to receive and accept new ideas, new everything new in terms of especially religious uh, religious belief, because I said I have already a person who has been introduced to religious backgrounds or religious teachings. However, this is really something new. Um, Knowing divine principle. But later tonight, this evening, I am also kind of have a deep thought of why me. My family, I came from a large family of 12 siblings. And but my question there is, why me? And thinking also of college days and also on the outside world, again, the question lies is, who among who among the people in my community or in my family and my community knows divine principle? And the question always lies there is that, why me? Why me? So I even ask, with all those with that question, every single night, I could say, um, even with these numbers, like especially the 120 years, or let's say 40 years or 21 days or whatever years is that, if I'm going to connect, actually, honestly, I cannot connect to whoever the person who is responsible to why I met the movement today. So in my generation, I could not really sense, but I could not really kind of grasp who is that person I can relate to as to why now I met the unification movement. So of all the people around me now, I still ask that question, why me? And even if to say I study my ancestral background, still the question lies is, who among you first came to know divine principle? And yet why me? So there's really, I guess, to all the participants who have undergone seminars in divine principle and up to now, have you ever asked yourselves, why did God choose you among the people who will be knowing divine principle? And I guess also one more thing that I could relate to is um, maybe because I am grateful and I'm happy, but also at the same time, I also have struggles and problems, confusions that I've undergone, um, even up to now. Um, it's really very deep. And coming to realize the pains, coming to realize that I'm not the only person who knows the divine principle, and especially what true parents have undergone nowadays. Um, Honestly, I was not there when father died. That's something. I came to know only the news that he passed away, and also now I see true mother's picture, but realizing that it's not as physical as possible for her to really endure whatever she's feeling right now. If you see her pictures currently, she's she's having health um, challenges. Bottom line of this reflection is that the the word firm faith comes in. I honestly doesn't or don't have that firm faith before, even to say na I'm already very old, very old in the family and very old physically as well. But still, because of hope and because of faith, I am still here in front of you, brothers and sisters. So I'm kind of repentant as well because of this history that had passed, but also at the same time trying to really deepen and understand who is really responsible, the person in my lineage who gave me the way of knowing now the divine principle. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Kuya Greg, for that reflection. We can relate actually why God chooses us to be, to know about the divine principle. So as we could say, could I say, we could able to, just do our responsibility. In our own time this time. So any additional po, Kuya Sir Randy? I think Ate Hannah cannot reflect po because just now she said po na disconnected daw po siya kanina. So,
Additional
additional
plus.
plus, yes. Yes po.
Hi, good evening, everybody. And how's everybody? Huh.
Fine.
Hearing your reflections, it reminds me of going back to eschatology and history. Do you remember the last section of that chapter? eschatology and human history.
Yes, Kuya.
Last
Very
The
days
last
and the
days, the
direction.
truth, and our attitude.
Yeah. So in line with that, actually, I just remember the question of uh, the classmates of my brother when during his wake. Okay, when I was attending, I was how do you call that? I was the one that is sitting down, and then I'm just the only one who is awake during that time. And classmates of my brother in UP came, and then they wanted to trigger me actually, according to them, because most of them are his classmate in history. So they said, yeah, you should start to understand that history repeats itself, and without armed conflict we cannot resolve the history. Without without making that, how do you call that, because what they wanted is to focus more on uh, the pain that I felt during the time, because my brother is already 12 days before he died. He should be graduating. And then most of them said that, yeah, you have to really stand for your brother. And these are the students of CSSP in UP Diliman. They are the close friend also of my brother. And then I told them that, yeah, history repeats itself, but if we will not learn from the mistake of the past, we cannot move forward. But if we learn from the mistake of the past, we will not repeat the same history. If we will come to study, if we will go back to eschatology and human history, there is a very, very strong word there that in order for history not to repeat, what we can do is to accept that I am the fruit of history. That with my effort, I must do everything to understand what is the problem of the past. That's why we study the parallel of history. What are the limitations that had happened? Why God's suffering and human suffering was prolonged? And what did true parents did in order to shorten the course of history in order for us to immediately enter into an era that is very different even 6,000 years before. So, like to the question of Kuya Grex, that's also my question before. Why me? In our family, I'm the youngest. And I'm the most stubborn among my siblings. I even tried to kill my mother before. Okay? Every time my mother will not bring me to where she will be going, I always do something that is delaying her and then even leading towards hurting her. But after hearing the principle, after hearing most especially eschatology and human history, and knowing the providential period, okay, after becoming after finishing all the lectures from the divine principle from chapter 1 to chapter 16 during that time, using the outline of the principle level 4, I came back to my mother and said, I'm sorry, I don't know what I've done to you before. And that was the time that I saw my mother crying, not because he feel pain, but crying because she is very happy that among his children, there is one who who say sorry because of some things that happened in the past that is, although I don't understand all those situations before, but he said, among you, you're the only one who recognize. So what I'm saying here is the most important thing is our acceptance of our era now, that we are the representative of the new era. We are the hope. Just like what our one of our heroes said in the Philippines, in Tagalog, kung hindi tayo, sino? Kung hindi ngayon, kailan? If we will not do it, who will do it? And if we will not do it now, when it will be done? Just like unto Father's thought when he first received the revelation when he was 15 years old. Father can say no. Father can say to God that you should find another person. But after Father contemplating, if I will not accept this, I'm not sure if the person who will be chosen can do it or not. And if I will not do it now, I'm not sure if my generation, if the next generation can fulfill it or not. That's why the most important thing in here is how much we really wanted to take part, how much we wanted to participate, how much we wanted to become part of the puzzle to complete, so that a history will not repeat itself. I remember when I was the director of student affairs in IPLC, and at the same time the administrator of IPLC. We are given the chance to go from one school to another to give orientation for new incoming students of IPLC. I was assigned in Zambales. Okay. And there is one participant that she's really very much willing to attend IPLC. But her mother said, it's not, I don't know if you can bear the difficulty if you will be there. And then the mother asked me, is this the CARP is this the PCARP organization that is inviting people to join the blessing before? Because she became part of CARP in the Gupan. And I said, yes. Eto na po yun. Okay. From PCARP, meron na yung iba, ang dami na organization that is working to establish God's goal. And then, mas lalo, during the time, it's more that yung mother niya, gusto niya talagang ipigilan yung anak niya na pumunta. But I was so touched with the determination of the daughter. Sabi niya, Mama, alam mo na pala to before. Kung sana hindi ka tumigil noon, sana pinagpatuloy mo na yun. Sana if you endured before, sana hindi na ako mag-suffer ngayon sa sinasabi mo. And that always rings into my ears and in my heart, into my mind. Even times when I wanted to quit, I wanted to stop, I don't want to do mission anymore, but that always challenged me. What if my children will tell to me in the future the same thing? Can I still face? That's why always Father said, the most important thing that we have to think is how much we wanted to recognize that I am the representative of the past. And if I am the representative of the past, I am the only one who can start a new beginning. Because knowing the principle is not just a coincidence. It's not because of a, how do you call it? Because of just a, ano ba yung tawag natin doon? Yung pasakali, baka sakali. It's not like that. It is very precise. Right? Because God works through numbers. There is always somebody among generation who will stand out to become victorious in liberating God's heart. And we are called in those types that is being prepared by God. That's why Father said the only thing that we can do is to accept and to start to fulfill our portion of responsibility, is start to learn what are the limitations of the past. What are the things that I can learn from history so that I can start a new beginning. And with the people who is working together to bring substantially or to work on liberating God, we can work together as true brothers and sisters. That's why even Jesus Christ said, right? Even though we have faith, if we will not do it, it will not, there will be no sense of having faith. Aju? So brothers and sisters, yeah. God, true parents already suffered a lot. And also our ancestors, our parents. The question is, shall we pass this challenge to our next generation? Okay. The situation that we are in right now, is this the one that we wanted to offer to our next generation? To our children, to our grandchildren, or to the succeeding generation after us? Or just like what True Mother said, shall we give them hope that because of my ancestors, because of my grandparents, because of those people who work with God and true parents earlier ahead of us, I am right here, standing into this victorious foundation. So brothers and sisters, True Mother always say that we should not stop. Okay. But we should continue to move forward. We should continue to step forward. And even Mother said, we don't have the authority to get tired. Right? Because if God, if we are ready, if we think that we are already tired, how much more to God? How much more to true parents who've gone through a lot of difficulty, unimaginable difficulty that no human being can surpass. So we have to think all of these things, brothers and sisters. This is the history that we have. This is the history that the divine principle is saying to us. And God is waiting for us to make a commitment and a strong determination to say, God, don't worry, I'm here. Aju?
True.
So brothers and sisters, yeah, to cut it short, okay, those numbers that we have learned from the providential histories and determination of their length, we cannot say that there is another person who will stand as the Messiah. There is another person who can stand as the Messiah. Why? Because it took God 2,000 years to raise up true parents. And we are now in the final stage, the third stage, third attempt. And God will not allow that this will be prolonged again. Because if this will be prolonged again, God will wait for another 6,000 years. That's why Father said, we should not let God extend his suffering anymore. It's now time for us to stand proud that we are the fruit of history and we are the one that can give hope to God. And the only way to do that is to make myself become equipped in everything, equipped in becoming the mouthpiece of God, equipped in becoming the person who can represent God, and to totally equipped to become the sons and daughters of God. And the only thing that is lacking right now, my dear brothers and sisters, is there are so many people who wanted to act, but no one really wanted to give them the education how they will act in accordance to the principle. There is not so many is really becoming an educator that will educate them. That's why even True Mother is the one doing educating people, spearheading. Actually, every time I join the Rally of Hope, I'm always being ashamed in front of God and true parents. Because True Mother should not be there talking to these people. Diba? Do you think so? We should be the one to True Mother should already been receiving report coming from us. Mother, in the Philippines, we are now establishing Chunilguk because people in the Philippines, political leaders, including different organizations, NGOs, and everything, they are now embodying your principle. Di ba mas maganda pag ganon? Kesa yung anak, we are very proud that True Mother initiated this, True Mother worked onto this. Yeah, True parents already invested all his life for that, even forgetting his family for the sake of the establishment of God's kingdom. So it's now time for us, brothers and sisters. It's not just I have to fulfill my responsibility, but we have to think, okay, how can I connect? How can I build? And how can I educate people to really understand God's principle so that we can have a common base to work together to build God's kingdom here on earth. So I'm not saying na ano ba yan? Now all of us needed to become, we have different ways of supporting the providence, right? Kaya nga we are opening such opportunities, such avenues. If you cannot become full-time, if you cannot become a person who will be there in headquarters, in centers 24 hours a day, okay, we have this avenue of inviting you to become part, take part. I know this is just small, but once we can really strengthen and we can educate more people, guide more people, opening more opportunities for people to study and learn the principle by volunteering, that I wanted to give my time. Okay. Even though we are not that significant, but ultimately we are doing something to contribute for a greater providence. Do you think so, brothers and sisters? Actually, yun yung ano ko nun eh. That is what I how do you call it? That is what my heart really felt when we started this 21 days workshop, online divine principle workshop, and the UPTA. Actually, I always discuss with LA before that we needed a lot of lecturers, but every time I propose for a, sabi naman niya lagi, just go on kuya. Okay. Kaya UPTA is actually silently working in the background. And even these 21 days that we have. Actually, ang pinaka-purpose ng 21 days natin na to is for us to revive the spirit that we should accept that no one can educate my tribe except me. That's why I needed to train myself. I needed to understand deeply what is the principle that is being given to us by God and true parents. And from there we can start. That even though nobody will command us, even though our leader will not say to us, you have to do witnessing, we will be the one to say, Kuya, this is now what we have done. This is what we can offer. I have already this tribe, I have already educated these people, and they are ready to receive the blessing. They are ready to become part of the community that true parents have built. Aju?
True.
So, kaya like ako sinasabi, this is not just a simple that we are just studying, but we have to really receive the challenge that nobody can stand in front of God except me. And together with my brothers and sisters, we can start a simple act of kindness. A simple act of random kindness. Do you remember the ark? The Noah's Ark in the new era? Have you watched that movie? The assistant of Bruce Almighty became the modern day Noah. Okay. What we needed is just a simple act of random kindness in order to influence other and to become part of, to contribute in God's providence. So with that, I hope, brothers and sisters, that we have to look at history not as the traditional way of looking at history, but looking at history in preparing myself to be in the future. Aju? So
True.
magandang gabi po.
So much, Sir Randy, for that inspiring message, additional message for tonight. Yeah, meron pa tayo. Yeah, still have time po. Okay.
Actually, we can we can end naman na.
Can close na.
Yeah.
We can close up.
Para
Yes, thank you so much po. Thank you for the.
Thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.
Yung sa reflection niyo.
Salamat.
Oh,
Actually, I'm very happy sa reading your reflection. Kaya please everybody submit your reflection. Every time na pinapadala sa akin ni Manina yung reflection, I always read, and pag nagmi-meet kami ni Ato Dirisa, we always discuss yung mga reflections that you are giving. Okay. And we are also looking at that as a basis for recommendations that we'll be doing for sa mga matching candidate. That is one of the bases that we're looking at. Okay. And sa mga hindi matching candidate, those are the basis that we can look at how much we can invite you to become part of the BFD education team. Because there are a lot of things that we needed to do, brothers and sisters. Okay. Kaya nga yung ano ni Ate Sylvia kahapon, guiding the parents is not so easy. And we needed a lot of we needed to face all these challenges today. And this is now the thing that we wanted to exemplify and we wanted to focus on in BFD, not just matching brothers and sisters, but totally educating them and then guiding them with all the equipment that they needed in order for them to really become a blessed central family that true parents, God and true parents can be proud of. And we needed your support, brothers and sisters. We needed your help, and we are inviting you to become part of it. Okay? So maybe I will pray. Please join in prayer. Our most beloved Heavenly Parents, victorious true parents of heaven, earth, and humankind. Father, you have been waiting for your sons and daughters to volunteer to really say that, Father, we are here. And true parents have been saying to us many times that if there will be somebody who will say, Father, you can now take a rest. Father, don't worry about the providence. We are here to do, guide, and we will fulfill our portion of responsibility. And these are the final words that we have heard from true parents before he went to the spirit world, Father. So, Father in heaven, as we come to study again the principle, although we have already attended many times before, but understanding with the perspective of how can I contribute in building Chunilguk, in building substantial Chunilguk. I pray, Father, that we could have that mindset of longingness and mindset of really I wanted to involve myself 100% to become part of to work hand in hand with true parents, centering on true mother, and with our brothers and sisters who are really working so hard, even dedicating themselves to bring victory for you and for true parents. So, Father in heaven, as we come to do our best to unlock the the secrets of history and also discover the opportunities that we can learn from it and how we could take part in creating a new history. Just like what the principal said in introduction, understanding the principle will guide us to create a new heaven and bring fallen people from fallen individual to becoming a restored individual or becoming your true sons and daughters. And nobody can guide our brothers and sisters except us, whom you have trained ahead of them, and whom you have guided, or whom our true parents guided thoroughly in order for us to substantially proclaim a nation wherein you can dwell in completely, and that will be the beginning point that will make this world to become the kingdom of heaven that Jesus Christ have been long since the beginning of since his time, or 2,000 years ago. So, Father in heaven, we are now opening the path for us to, even though we are not 100% uh, staying at the center, but at least we can contribute by doing our utmost best and sincerity to become your mouthpiece and to become the person who could really wanted to connect other people to understand your principles so that we could work together in bringing victory for you and for true parents. So, Father in heaven, we're so grateful that among the multitudes, we are chosen to enroll into this uh, studying the principle once again. And I pray, Father, that we would understand it so that we could become your effective mouthpiece, effective representative who could model you in front of the people so that we could attract them to be connected to you. Thank you, Father, for this opportunity and for this moment. And I pray, Father, that whatever things that we have discussed, whatever things that we have received as an inspiration coming from you, this could be this could remain into our heart and also practice it so that we could always say that we are your filial sons and daughters that will give hope and bring victory for you and for our true parents. Thank you, Father, for this opportunity, and may please accept whatever things that we have as a way of our commitment and determination to become part or to take part in substantializing Chunilguk here on earth. This we ask and pray in our name. Randy and Ria, may bless and our family. Jew.
Yes, before po tayo mag-ano, can we have a picture po muna? Yeah, at tingnan natin.
Open your eyes.
Open your cameras po. Akala ko, open your smiles.
Open your smile.
Kuya Julius,
Please power
Ate
on your
Bel,
camera.
Jonathan, Kuya Joseph, if kaya pa po ng signal. Okay? Let's have a small heart, brothers and sisters.
Parang
Small heart. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Let's have our Sungni. Vision 2027. Sungni. Okay, last one. Hibaragi siya na. Na-miss niya, hibaragi siya na. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Alright.
So, brothers and sisters.
Okay.
Go for tonight.
Yes.
Good night.
See you.
Sino yung mag-model lecture ng Friday sa Thursday ko at saka Saturday? Kasi nahihiya ako sa mga lecturers ay sa second batch. Bigla ako, tapos hindi ako nagkakalat ako.
Ano pala yung topic?
Hindi.
Resurrection sa'yo, te.
Hindi. Ay! Ha?
Resurrection. Yung chapter 4.
Resurrection?
Resurrection. Yung model lecture. Kaya Kuya Julius, yung chapter 4.
Naiya ako na hindi resurrection sa akin?
Oo.
Ano? Dalawa siya, di ba? Dalawang chapter.
Oo, yung una kay Kuya Julius sa Friday. Saturday sa'yo.
Naka-close na ko.
Yung sa akin, resurrection?
Oo, sa Saturday.
Okay. Saturday pa? Sige.
So Friday si Kuya Julius, tapos Saturday sa te.
Okay. Thanks.
Erwin, meron na naka-assign kung sino mag-lecture ng tradition.
Meron na, sir.
Ha?
Nakita ko yung
Meron na, sir.
Model
lecture ba or sa
Sa third batch.
Meron na.
Meron na.
Kuya Randy?
Yes, Ate Sylvia?
Natanong si Bel, sino daw po yung audience? May pinagagawa daw kayo, sabi niya.
For din yun, for mga coordinators din yun, te.
For coordinators, Beng. Nagtatanong lang po yun siya, hindi niya alam.
Pero ang inaano kasi usually is general audience ng kasi that is
general
an internal
audience
guidance.
daw.
Internal guidance na for members.
Kasi takot siya baka daw pata yung kanyang joker na yung bata yan eh. Kasi ipapacheck man daw niya sa'yo.
Actually, mas maganda nga minsan yung mga kiddie presentation kasi pagka matanda yung pag kidding you are bringing their youth in them.
Nakakabata ika nga. Wow, marang excited ako doon. Wow na lang. Pwede daw ko yung pambata, sabi niya. Joke lang. Yeah, but actually she's preparing po kasi. Tapos very cautious naman. Nagpapatanong lang po. Thank you, Kuya.
Okay, thank you, Belle. That's actually sa mga first batch, binigyan ko rin sila ng assignment na gumawa ng mga slides eh. And sooner or later, inumpisan ko lang kay Belle. Next na rin. May mga utang pa sa akin.
Si Belle kasi, Kuya, meron siyang gadget. Yun, ako, nagpaparinig lang ako. Yun.
May utang pa ako. Naumpisahan ko na siya pero kulang. Tapos sabi ko nga, edit ko yung version 2 nung isa eh. Hindi pa nagagawa.
And those materials na binibigay ko is those for advanced training sa mga lectures para sa mga couples and sa mga coordinators kasi yun nga ang goal namin ni Ate Dulce na lahat should know how to give lecture, and we really wanted everybody, most especially mga regional coordinators, BFT coordinators, na they should know the lectures para they can use it also to guide matching candidate and best couples. Kaya yung mga yes.
Gusto mo yata mag-find out.
Sobrang nakakasakit talaga ng heart every time na nasa field ka. Ay, nako po. Diyos ko. Yung sobrang sakit ng heart na hindi mo alam exactly how to come into their hearts. You know, it really requires a lot of jongsong. And of course, back up na din. Yung, alam mo yung paano gawin, saan ka, yun, maganda din yung ganito talaga. But of course, I always feel kulang.
Gagawa.
Actually, yun tayo. What we're just doing is to start, tapos you can continue to make it more better along the way as you say. Actually, yung mga binibigay ko ng mga assignment na yan yung mga experience ko nung time na nag-mission ako. Kasi one time meron din sinasabi sa akin na ano bang plano niyo sa mga mag-asawa pa? Paano niyo sila i-guide? Sa may mga anak na. So what are the things that you can do for them? Kaya ngayon, I'm collecting those materials, practical application, plus we are doing a internal side. Ano yung connected sa internal aspect para sa we can do both internal and external.
Yun nga kuya, yung pakiramdam na actually what you had been providing is more than enough. Depende na, katulad ng sinabi mo, depende sa amin kung paano namin gagamitin at paano namin palalaguin. But then, siguro yung feeling ko na kulang ako kasi yung hindi enough yung siguro yung nagawa ko, parang yung ganun. Kaya I don't really know exactly. Kasi iba-ibang tao, iba-ibang personality, syempre. Tapos, yung makita mo yung siguro yung kakulangan ko mismo through them, it's really very striking, it's really very hard to sabihin na lang natin, accept na yun yung reality ng lahat nating mga syndrome families or except sa few, pero it's really very painful talaga po. Hindi ko alam paano, how can I be able to help? Yung ganong tipong question na because I know myself na I don't have enough to give. So yun yung parang yun talaga yung parang I know late pero nakapag-push sa akin na what should I do more, parang ganun. Kasi sobrang namang kulang talaga ako. It's not the people around me, but it's me. It's no longer the people around me. Actually, it's already more on myself na yeah, it's really true, we cannot give what we do not have. So yeah, parang lalo mong
naalala ko nung si Ray yung nag-leader sa Iligan. Mahirap nga talaga kasi nga hindi ko alam kung pero siguro ang lessons learned ko lang doon is that talaga namang kulang tayo and we have so many limitations, but at least we try to keep our connection with the members. Actually nga struggle nga ako doon eh. Pero mo as simple as yung sabi ni Ray sa akin, kailangan daw i-text ko yung pag Sunday, Saturday pa lang, Friday pala, Saturday, starting Friday or Saturday. I-text ko na yung mga members, lahat sila na may text ako para sabihin na may Sunday service. sasabihin na may Sunday service, di ba talaga nung Sunday service? Ganon kasimple. Parang struggle ako gano'n, di ba? Kasi ano ko noon parang, siyempre, parang kailangan ko itaksyon samantalang normal naman talaga yung Sunday service, di ba? Parang, yun, as simple as that. Parang, question ko yun as di basta i-text mo ko sa kanila. Talaga ako sa Sunday service, diba? Wala ganun. Yung mga pinag-aawayan ng mag-asawa sa movement, parang hindi pinag-aawayan ng iba Parang service pinag-aawayan nyo. Pinag-discuss sila nyo. Diba? Pero pag naalala ko yun ngayon, parang nakakatawa yung mga away natin, kung tutusin, hindi maintindihan na iba, parang baliw. Parang gano'n.
Yeah, what we are trying to do now is ang national BFD is to really raise up regional and to support regions. Hindi na lang yung, di ba dati, more on command galing sa HQ, parang ganon. Pero nowadays, we have discussed with Ate Dulce na ang ng HQ na lang is more on support and empower na yung in terms of education and in terms of guiding mga regional leaders, regional coordinators, and also with the support of regional leaders and center leaders na rin. So yun yung ngayon, yun yung parang before lahat ng dapat gawin manggaling sa HQ, pero ngayon is hindi na lang yung HQ ang maganoon kasi kayo mas nakakaalam sa field Kaya mas nakakaalam situation sa field. So what we can do is to support and help in every means that we can.
Yeah, that's true empowerment, yeah. From the external point of view, yun din siguro din na-learn ko from the external world because they are trying to practice that. But I also believe na dun sa sinasabi ni mother na the secular world has been doing a lot and they are so expert in doing things practically. Pero things cannot be solved talaga, kuya, through human effort alone. I always believe. Because had it been true, then we should not be suffering anymore. But why is it that despite all the strategies, all those ways and tactics that they have, why is it that we cannot still address this present situation, this chaos, this suffering, this conflicting world? It is because we cannot have done it all by our own effort and power. It is always through God lang talaga. So, babalik pa rin tayo sa umpisa. Babalik at babalik tayo. Without us recognizing it, we cannot actually reach to our destination without knowing our origin, eka nga. So,
Kaya importante na we have to develop a common base. And the only common base that we can is understanding God's principle itself. Kasi yun lang din naman talaga If we cannot share the principle to them, if we cannot talk about the principle to them, that means human effort will always be lost. Human effort will always be no meaning and no direction. But understanding the principle, giving them the principle that would give meaning, and they have a deeper understanding of why they need to do that, and they develop more dedication. So it always go back to how much we really understand the principle and how much we really connect ourselves through understanding and knowing the principle. Actually, I tried many times na try ko ang gawin sarili ko. Pero pag hindi mo maintindihan ng principle, pag hindi mo i-share ang principle, wala kayong common base Although magkaroon kayo ng common base externally, pero yung deeper connection, iba kasi yung pag pareho kayo ng mindset na ito yung plano ni God. Ito yung plano ni True Father. And we can discuss freely kung ano yung dapat natin gawin. Kung sa labas, tatanungin, nasaan dyan yung pera? asan yung pera na gagamitin natin? Hindi pa nag-start,
Totoo
unang tatanungin ka
talaga.
agad, may pera ba dyan? Meron ba makukuha tayo dyan? And this is the difference between God and us. Between human human planning and God's planning. Kasi God's plan is you have to understand first the principle, and once you understand the principle, support will just come naturally. Pero sa labas kasi is kuan muna eh. Kumbaga,
support muna.
Support muna bago magplano.
Hindi, ano yung makukuha? Anong makukuha ko?
Ayun, isa yun.
Kaya ayoko umattend nung minsan kung madalas kasi sa division namin, kami ang nagre-represent talaga nung head of agency namin. Parang gano'n. Minsan ayoko umattend kasi masakit ang ulo ko sa kanila eh. Parang yung gano'n, ang ganda-ganda ng plano, in the end, iibahin nila. Kasi yun eh, ang bottom line kasi, wala naman. May meron na kung ano. Oh yes, yun yung gano'n na very subtle pero parang nakakasakit ng ulo ate. Parang gano'n, parang meron lang yung iba tanggap
we have to endure that kasi
hindi na nila kaya tataka ako tanggap sila ng tanggap yun. Tapos yung pala kasi nga, they just wanted the monetary pero sasabihin nila hindi, sabi, huwag na natin pahirapan yung sarili natin, gano'n. Nagulat ako nun.
So that's really the challenge sa atin eh.
Yeah, yun talaga yun dapat kasi nating work out na how can we be able to change that kind of practice. It will take time still, yeah, because we have to prove also to them. Hindi naman pwede magsalita tayo ng puro ideals lang eh. We have to really substantiate it. Kaya yun yung challenge sa atin.
Yung ginawa namin noon sa school namin, sa university namin. Kasi from University Student Council to sa Student Supreme Council sa school namin. CARP member eh. Tapos yung mga hindi member na officer, wala kayong magawa but to really give them the lecture of the principal. And then nung nagkaroon kami nagkaintindihan kami lahat, kahit walang fund na binibigay ang school, we were able to create projects sa school. We were able to build up libraries sa mga colleges na although meron silang main library, pero sa main library kasi ang hirap manghiram, di ba, pag sa universities.
Sobrang dami at saka sobrang dami. Sobrang
kaya ang inaano namin noon, every colleges dapat meron silang college library na yung freely na pwedeng punta mga estudyante na they can read anytime that they have a vacant na parang it's for the student, not for the school profit, but for the student purpose of learning. So we were able to create mga libraries sa mga schools, sa mga colleges na without any funding from the university. And even we did yung fundraising, we did yung lahat ng mga possible ways hanggang sa nakita ng university, sila mismo yung nag-volunteer. Sila yung nag-propose kung ano yung pwede nilang i-offer sa amin nang sa ganun we can make it become better.
Kasi kung tutusin niya, yung main library is not sufficient kaya medyo mayroong pagka-meticulous kasi hindi yun sufficient for the whole student. So that one is really good. So yan, na-realize niya.
Kaya mga ganun na And na-realize lang namin na kaya importante talaga yung divine principle education. Kasi yun yung mag-create ng common base sa lahat. Although, hindi naman natin sabihin na lahat is maintindihan, lahat makapag-practice. But during that time, at least we can have some inviting effort to let them know. And then along the way, kahit na medyo matagal na, pag ma-realize nila na because of the success that we have, they can still connect to us. Kaya yung mga officer namin noon na mga student body organization namin every colleges, hanggang ngayon pag nakikita nila ako, sabi nila ito yung mga nag-pioneer sa mga kakaibang leadership sa school. And they're still supporting us na ano. Yung isa sa project coordinator ng AMMS, Asian Mobile Medical Service, si Doc Hazel, yun yung secretary ko before nung nasa university ako sa student council. So, yung mga ganun ba na hindi naman natin pwede lahat na sabihin na mag full-time lahat eh. But we can let them become part, contribute towards the cause of God and true parents in their own little capacity. Hindi naman natin kailangan ng 100%. At least meron silang may contribute. Kasi kung titignan natin, we are just part of the puzzle naman eh. We are a small part of the puzzle to complete. Yeah, we needed to create our network together. So anyway, see you sa tomorrow. Yes, ate.
Natutuloy na sa Saturday, San. Natutuloy tayo sa Saturday.
Opo. Kaya yung klase natin sa UPTA, mag-prepare kayo ng ano, ng data niya. May data ka, Herwin?
Wala, sir.
Wala.
Bilan na lang yung ano, sir, yung baka may router dun sa Edo. Kina Jenny, tapos
pwedeng dali natin yun para we can still, kasi doon tayo sa ano eh.
Connected.
Meron. So lahat ng sasama sa Saturday na ano, we'll still be having our class on Saturday. Kaya na yung laptop mo, dalhin mo. I will prepare a room sa inyo doon sa pupuntahan natin. Inggitin ka namin Ate Sylvia kasi we have a
Oo nga, naiinggit ako. Grabe sa kayo.
We have actually ano yun, yung financial backup
business trip.
Yeah, business trip ng
It's
UPTA
a business
and
trip.
Kwan.
Yeah.
And at the same time, relaxation
happy.
na rin ng Kwan, relaxation na rin ng mga staff na stress reliever ng mga staff. And
Good job,
giving na rin,
Kuya.
relief giving all in one na ano.
Oh wow, that's really you deserve that because you work so hard. Please enjoy.
Kaya inggitin nga muna namin.
Okay lang yun mainggit Kuya kasi sana one day I look forward na one day I can experience that. Don't worry.
Pero di ba pupunta rin naman kami dyan?
Oo nga. Hindi ako papayag na hindi. Ayoko talaga.
Sige, te.
Magtatampo talaga yung lahat ng ancestors ko sa inyo. Ng ancestors ng buong Mindanao. I tell you. So, hindi na, huwag na nyo intindihin yung tampo ko kasi isa lang. Intindihin nyo yung ancestors na tampo. Konsin ba?
Actually, namimiss ko na nga mag-travel from Northern Mindanao hanggang Southern Mindanao. I remember nung time na nandyan ako. Noong 2011, 2012.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I miss those times. Actually,
and then welcome back again.
Yeah. Actually, yun nga sinasabi ko kay Ate Dulce sa education, I wanted to really mag-lay talaga ng foundation ng Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao na education team ng BFT. Kasi kung kami lang ni Herwin, yung mga lecturers, tayo lang, it's not enough. We needed to train more and guide more people na mag-take ownership. Lalo na sa mga magchuchunbo. Yun naman yung pwede natin i-offer sa kanila.
Anyway,
sige. Good night, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, good night.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
See you everyone tomorrow. Have a good rest. Thank you for the very beautiful sharing. Parang ayaw ko mahuman. It's always like that, no? Thank you, Kuya. Thank you. Good